I prayed and I asked God, if this is from you, please give me peace as I enter the Gaza Strip, which is a very dangerous and scary place. And there was an explosion in the compound of the Shifa Medical Center. And then the whole world, Israel is launching attacks against the hospitals. Then the next day, the IDF, of course, investigated. And we saw an image of a Hamas rocket that was launched behind the hospital and malfunctioned and fell inside the hospital. So it was Hamas launching rockets at their own hospitals and then blaming Israel.
Yair Pinto, very good to have you here in the studio. Thanks for making the drive out. Been trying to do more interviews, but we don't exactly live in the center of the country. I mean, we do live in the center of the country, but it's not exactly
geographically. You are in the
center.
Not
exactly close to anything. So appreciate you driving out here to be with us.
Well, thanks for inviting me. I really wanted to see the place, and I thought it's a good excuse to come to this area, which I love. So it's fun, and I love the operations.
Yeah.
Good to see you in person.
As I understand it, I think both of us kind of not started in media. We'll get into that, but October 7th, I know things, as horrific as it was, I know things also exploded in media because people wanted to know what's going on in Israel.
Exactly.
And I think that's when you started really getting out there. And I want to hear about your story, but I know as I've met people around the world in the last couple of years, everybody says, oh, we watch, if they watch the Israel guys, they also watch Yair Pinto every day. So I know you're doing a lot of amazing work with daily broadcasts out of Israel. So keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Appreciate everything you're doing. And I think we'll get into, let's start with how you got started in media. Okay. I heard a little bit of your story. Let's start with October 7th. Were you in media before that? Did you do things in media before that, or was that when it started for you?
I've been in media for, I would say, all my life after the army, but never as much in front of the camera. Mainly producing, behind the scenes, making sure everything happens and stuff like that. Up until October 7. When October 7 happened, like many people in Israel, I was called to my military unit to fight. And then at the same time that I was called, I thought, okay, there is a need for people to know what is happening, boots on the ground, which is kind of the name of the daily show that we do. From the front lines, what's happening in Israel by Israelis, and not like international news that have their narratives and have their agendas of reporting what's happening in Israel. So that's how it started. It started with me and an iPhone from the front lines, reporting on a daily basis. The beginning was more like the fact that I had to separate with my family, that us reserve soldiers have a life.
Were you called up on October 8th?
Yeah.
And so what unit were you in?
I'm in the Armored Corps unit. I'm a tank platoon commander. And in the army also the positions and the roles changed based on what the unit needed. So I did also kind of intelligence work, and then also went inside with the brigade commander into the Gaza Strip to be on his small council, which was cool. But I think that the major thing that God used me throughout this war was basically sharing the truth of what's happening in Israel and encouraging people to pray for the peace of Jerusalem, for the situation, but in a personal way, like to give them a face and an experience that they can go with every day. So since day one of this war, we reported, the beginning was like a few videos a day, short videos.
So you started out just entirely on your own, just uploading to social media?
No, not alone. One of my teammates at TBNISRAEL, he was with me. He was kind of like pushing me to keep doing it and say every day we have to do something because people need to know what's happening. And then the team and the circle grew with the response that we got and with the fact that people watched. So
TBN was putting it out from the beginning?
Yes.
Okay. And then how did the IDF react to that? Because, I mean, for years, everybody says, the IDF is not good at advocacy, not good at getting things out in the media. And obviously, this is something you went as a soldier into the war on October 8th, and you're broadcasting pretty much from the front lines, right?
From the front lines, from inside Gaza also. from inside Khan Yunis, where Yahya Sinwar lived and conducted these operations from within terror tunnels. So it was kind of funny because, the saying, it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission.
Exactly.
So I went strong with that saying, and especially in Israel, this is something that works well. And in the army, which is like a very bureaucratic organization, especially on October 7, when everything was a big mess. And so I reported, at the beginning I reported like not officially as a soldier, as a civilian, but I was wearing like without my uniform, ranks and shirt and all that. So that was for maybe the first 40 days of this war. And then the channel grew and grew and grew. And then I remember receiving a phone call in the Gaza Strip when I was inside Khan Yunis from the spokesperson's unit. And she said like, is this you, Yair? And she sent like one of the reports. And she said, oh, we need to debrief you. We need to do that. But...
Did you think you were in trouble at first?
Nah, but then they said like, but we love what you're doing. So come, we'll give you a debrief and keep doing it. But this time, officially wear your IDF ranks and your unit. And as long as, we're aligning with the messages, which in general we were, because I'm an Israeli, I'm an officer of the IDF. So I want to share the truth, and we have nothing to hide.
Which, that's very unusual for the IDF, right? To endorse basically somebody reporting from the front lines like that as an IDF soldier.
Exactly. I don't know. I never heard it happen before, but it happened with me. And moving forward, we are having a great connection with the IDF spokesperson's unit. We're doing like productions, sharing what's happening on a daily basis. And I think it's only, God's favor really for us in this situation, because I never heard this thing, happen.
Right.
And when I was called into the Gaza Strip, like inside Gaza with my commander, I told them, okay, on one condition, that I'll bring a phone, which was unrare at the beginning days of this war. They would take the phones from the soldiers, and that I will report every day from there on what's happening. So they said, sure, yeah, because he wanted me with him in Khan Yunis, and I did that. And I reported from within the Gaza Strip every day. And I think that really encouraged not only the people outside Israel, but also the soldiers of the IDF, because they would see me like with the phone reporting and say, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Who are you reporting
Nobody's
to?
allowed to have a phone in your...
That also, yeah. They were like, and then also they said like, because the international media is against us. So why are you reporting? Because everybody hates us. And I said, no, that's not true. You have millions of Christians around the world that are praying for you to succeed, for us to get the hostages back, for us to be surviving here in this country and winning this war against all these terrorists. And they were like shocked about this. So I think it was really a blessing also for the soldiers next to me, and also for the viewers, I hope.
Right.
Yeah. We'll be right back with the rest of today's interview. But first, I would like to give you something practical that you can do to support Israel right now. If you, like many people I know, love Israel, but you're not able to make it over here to the Holy Land, or if you're inspired by the Jewish families living out God's promises on the front lines, or if you simply want to walk out God's words to Abraham in Genesis 12, blessing the nation of Israel, then you need to check out our friends over at Blessed by Israel. That's Blessed BUY Israel. What these guys do is they bring the amazing products of families in the biblical heartland to people all around the world. From the land of Israel straight to your doorstep, you can enjoy awesome products. We're talking about extra virgin olive oil, coffee that's roasted to perfection by Agro Cafe, which I absolutely love and drink at least 1 cup every day here in the office, delicious raw honey, jewelry, organic spices, handcrafted ceramics, and much, much more. And everything is from wonderful small family-owned businesses in Israel. Be a part of encouraging and investing in the people of Israel and enjoy high-quality products at the same time. Go over to Blessed by Israel, that's blessedbuyisrael.com, to purchase beautiful boutique products and make your impact today. Use the code INVEST for $5 off your first order at blessedbuyisrael.com. You'll also find the link in the description below. Now, back to the interview.
So when you first went in, how long did you serve after October 7th? Like,
So
and have you been in multiple times or?
So I've been for what was almost 130 days straight after October 7, and then I injured my knee in the border entering the Gaza Strip. I tore my ACL and drove myself to the emergency room immediately from there. So, and then, fast forward, I did a surgery and now I'm in recovery.
Wow.
So this is something that people don't talk about a lot because so you have the number of deaths, the soldiers that died in this war, which is almost 500 people since October 7th.
Right.
And then on top of that, you have tens of thousands of soldiers that are injured in this war. And I have my legs, I have my arms, so I'm blessed. I mean, God protect them. But some soldiers that I've been into recovery with them don't have legs anymore because of Hamas IEDs, don't have arms, lost their eyesight. And then not even to talk about all the post-traumatic stress that anybody who is a fighter has it to a certain level.
Exactly,
I mean, it's impossible, I can act all strong, but everybody has it. It took me a few months after finishing my round in Gaza of not, looking behind cars if I hear voices at night or seeing shadows and stuff like that. Because it's an alert level and it's hard to get back to normal life, which in general, I don't think we have a normal life here in Israel. I mean,
for sure.
The different stories. On October 7, my wife and I both got like pistol permits.
Right, yeah.
Because she was alone with 3 kids and we live in a community surrounded by Palestinian villages with a little fence.
Yeah.
What's the difference? Why not they can drive and cross the border? And what does she have to protect herself? So we're like cowboys now, walking with pistols and stuff like that on a daily basis.
Right. Yeah. So
that's how So basically,
so you went,
I'm
but
still
you were in Lebanon and Gaza, right?
Yeah. So my unit started for 2 months up north on the border with Lebanon, and then our mission was rerouted into the Gaza Strip. So I got to experience
some of both
drone attacks and missile attacks from Hezbollah and missile attacks and terrorists from the Gaza Strip.
Wow. So I'm curious, obviously you've seen a lot, experienced a lot. One thing I'm curious about too, is because a lot of people saw, Israel went in after Hamas immediately or within days, right? After October 7th, everyone was expecting war to break out with Hezbollah for every day.
Exactly.
And, everybody said war hasn't broken out yet. Well, after like a month or two, everybody realized there's already war with Hezbollah. It's just not official yet. When Israel decided to declare war on Hezbollah, it seemed like the majority of it was over in a matter of weeks. And 600 days into the war, Israel's still working to defeat Hamas. The world would see Hezbollah as a much stronger, bigger, more well-prepared, organized, better funded organization. And yet Israel literally shut them down in a matter of weeks. Almost, going on more than a year and a half later, they're still working to defeat Hamas.
Yes.
Do you have what's your perspective on that?
The short answer to this is the hostages.
Yeah.
Israel is fighting in the Gaza Strip the IDF is fighting with their hands tied behind their backs. I've been there. It's like specific neighborhoods are off limits, even if you are being fired at from these areas. And that's because of multiple reasons. The first reason is because of fear that the hostages are being held there.
Right.
So Israel is doing everything possible not to launch any attacks to an area that potentially holds hostages. And that includes multiple terror tunnels. And on top of that, Hamas is fighting very dirty, as people know, you for sure. They are fighting from within hospitals, from within humanitarian buildings, from within civilian populated areas. So the war is very hard to maneuver, while at the same time, Israel is receiving very harsh criticism by the international community, pressure on ending this war. It's very hard and it's very different than what we saw in Lebanon against Hezbollah. Also, Hamas is now degraded into this guerrilla organization, while Hezbollah still exists, but they are more structured.
Is it true they don't even wear uniforms when they're fighting a lot of times?
Hamas? They don't.
Because when there's a
specifically, they don't.
ceasefire, they put uniforms on and they put a parade
you see
together.
that they're very, very
But-
clean and they
Yeah,
are
exactly.
ironed and uniformed when they parade themselves. But during the war, all the terrorists that I encountered in the Gaza Strip wore flip-flops, trainings, like pajamas,
Yeah.
basically. They look like civilians. You cannot tell a terrorist from a civilian. More than that, when the IDF is calling on the population to evacuate to safe zones, many of the terrorists are disguising themselves as women, as children, as civilians, and move with the civilian population to different areas to avoid the IDF attacks. So
Right.
it's a very hard war, and it's very, very, strong moving. Plus, in Lebanon, we have some kind of a government, the government of Lebanon, to talk with. They have an army that is being forming and is being, helping and trying to create some kind of agreement to remove Hezbollah from the southern part of Lebanon. So we have somebody that we
There's
can
somebody to
walk
talk
with,
to,
somebody that wants a better future. In the Gaza Strip, it's Hamas. Hamas is also a terrorist organization, but it's also the government of the Gaza Strip. It's also the education minister. It's also the health ministry.
Right.
And it's the woke ministry. Everything related to civilian life goes through Hamas. And that's what's now the IDF and Israel is trying to break with the establishment of the new humanitarian zones that will distribute the humanitarian aid without Hamas taking control of it. So that's what Israel is trying to do now.
Right now, we're recording this May 29th. There's images and videos coming out of Gaza about the civilian population overrunning, trying to overrun Hamas to get to the aid, humanitarian aid. There's civilians being killed by Hamas. What was your experience with, because I think one of the hostages came out and said there's not a single civilian inside of Gaza. And obviously when the people get desperate enough, they're willing to come against Hamas. But overall, for 600 days, there hasn't been civilians stepping forward with information about the hostages. There hasn't been civilians coming against Hamas in general. There hasn't been civilians, saying they want peace or they want to surrender. Like, what was your experience? Is there such a thing as an innocent civilian inside of Gaza?
So to start with, for sure there are, because it's 2 million.
There
it's
always
2 million
is, yeah.
people, so for sure there are. And Israel is receiving information from Palestinians that are collaborating with the IDF, with the Mossad, with our special forces. And we know that because Hamas is executing the family members of some of these people that were caught, either cooperating with Israel or being suspected of cooperation with Israel. So there is like a number of people that do that. If they do that because they know that Hamas is about to lose and now they're just trying to protect their own interests, that may be. But there are people that are doing that. On top of that, there's always the children, the elderly, the innocent people. But at large, from, as a nation or as a country or as a strip of land, as a people, the Palestinian people voted for Hamas to be their leadership. They were rallying behind Hamas to carry out the attacks on October 7th. They were supportive of the October 7th attacks for many, many months after it happened. Only now, when Hamas is losing, we hear less of these voices and we hear some of demonstrations against Hamas. And we just today saw a Hamas aid facility, basically a warehouse filled with flour and food and stuff like that, was looted by the Palestinian people.
Right.
So this is like a new thing, and it's good for Israel because finally the people of Gaza understand that Hamas is using them and they are standing up to Hamas. It's because of two reasons. One, Hamas has become weakened, significantly weakened. And the second thing is that they are really needing the food and the aid, so they want to get it no matter what.
Right.
Okay. So the situation is very, very tough, but in general, these people have been under close to 25 years of brainwashed in the education system, in the society system, in the media, everywhere. They were taught that Israel is the enemy, that their only chance for a better future is to push the Jews out of the entire country of Israel And they were in this victim mentality that prevented them from thinking of anything better than war against the people of Israel. So the only solution to actually change this situation is to have education for the next generation of the Gazan population that will last for at least 18 years without Hamas, without Muslim Brotherhood, without all these radical terrorist groups that are telling them that Israel is the cause of all their problems.
Right. Yeah.
So it's very hard. I mean, they are under, they are not innocent, the population of Gaza, but they are under heavy brainwash by
I heard a lot of
these
stories of
organizations.
soldiers finding materials inside Gazan homes of like, you know, things about Adolf Hitler and Mein Kampf and just like all kinds of propaganda.
Yeah.
Seems like it's very widespread. I know that also to be true.
It's true.
Here in Judea and Samaria, I went into a lot of the Arab towns before our channel got bigger and we were known. We went undercover into a lot of the Arab Palestinian towns, and you find it very widespread. The brainwashing, it's in the schools, it's in the political offices, it's in the media, it's just in everything they consume.
The maps, just the maps
Yeah,
that they
I was
study
in
geography.
an Arab mayor's office, and he had a map of Israel hanging up with Palestine and Arabic. People think they want a Palestinian state. There needs to be a two-state solution. It's not true. They want all of Israel. They want the Jews gone.
Well, they were offered their own state
A lot of times,
1948, 1967, multiple times, and they got their state. Gaza was a completely Palestinian state. There were no Jews there. There were no Israelis there. And look what happened with that. Became a terror hub, the largest terror state in the world. Every second house in the Gaza Strip is basically a position for a rocket. It's a position for a sniper. It's booby-trapped. They store weapons underneath the beds of children.
Is that part of why it's so complicated in Gaza? Because literally every house has to be checked individually, and a lot of the houses have to be destroyed because it's a terrorist hotbed. Exactly.
Yes. That's the hard thing. And also to have like a good job as a Palestinian in Gaza, you need to work for Hamas. If it's as a terror tunnel digger, which is like a very luxurious job in Gaza because the tunnels are like everywhere. Listen, it's been almost 2 years of this war and we only destroyed 25% of the tunnels because it's a very, very hard process to find, to destroy.
25%, wow.
Yeah, so it's like they still have the majority of the tunnels.
Yeah, I went into Gaza once last year, and we drove the Philadelphia corridor, and they said that there was 200 tunnels just underneath the Philadelphia corridor,
that
like the Egyptian border.
Exactly.
At that point, and there were only like the first pass they drilled to a certain depth, and after they went the whole strip, then they would have to come back and drill further down, and it was such a long, slow process to find these tunnels, and some of them were like big enough for a train or a truck to go through into Egypt. It's
exactly.
Crazy. People, it's so hard for people to understand, I think, how complex it is inside of Gaza, and how, why this war has been so drawn out. Do you think Israel's getting close to victory in Gaza?
Yes, I think so. I think that the new operation, the Gideon's Chariot operation, is very decisive. It's very strong. And together with taking control of the aid distribution away from Hamas, we're also turning the Palestinian people against Hamas. So I think that this is a very, very severe, lever of pressure on Hamas.
Right.
And either they, agree to some kind of a ceasefire agreement, or they will be destroyed completely militarily.
Right.
But the ideology of Hamas will not be destroyed. Like ISIS still exists.
Yeah.
It's an ideology. There will be always somebody that believes that, and especially in a place with 2 million people, that many family members of these people were fighting against the IDF and were terminated. So it's very hard, but the IDF can take control of the Gaza Strip. Question is, what will happen next? Who's going to govern these people? Who's going to be in charge of rebuilding this place without it being another terror hub?
Because, Gaza will have to be rebuilt from the ground up. Like, there's not going to be anything left.
No, for sure. If it's going to be like a golf course for Donald Trump, or if it's going to be another part of Israel, or if it's going to be, a place for the Palestinian people, at the moment, it's a lot of rubble.
Yeah. I'm curious, you spent how many days fighting before you were injured?
Like 130 days.
You're a believer in Jesus and Yeshua, an Israeli IDF soldier living in the land. Did you see any miracles in the war or any crazy experiences?
Yeah. First of all, I saw a lot of miracles of stuff that didn't happen, which is it's pretty cool because like missiles that landing near a bunch of troops, IDF missiles that accidentally, landed near our own troops and did not explode, and the malfunctions that happened and saved lives of troops, and soldiers that went to sleep on a road where they shouldn't, and the tanks were like almost crushing them, but didn't crush them, and stuff like that. But on a personal level, I'll share a story that I had, and I remember that day that I was called into Khan Yunis in the Gaza Strip, because before that it was after a few days, a month maybe in this war. The beginning I was doing work for the intelligence, but like kind of on the border, but on the Israeli side of the border. So my wife was happy about that.
Yeah.
but then I one day I remember that day I got a phone call from my commander, and he said, Yair, the general of our unit wants you to come and be with him in Gaza Strip in his tank to be in charge of the intelligence, but on the ground. Inside there. And because you're also a tank platoon commander, you know how to operate tanks and stuff, so you can be with him in the tank. And I thought, okay, I need to stop the car. My wife is gonna kill me, but I stopped the car. I prayed and I asked God, if this is from you, please give me peace as I enter the Gaza Strip, which is a very dangerous and scary place. And that was also the first time that our forces entered Khan Yunis. Since then, we've been there multiple times. And then I prayed and I entered Gaza and I felt peace, which is amazing because this is like the most is the most terrible place on earth. Like it's like filled with hatred,
especially Khan Yunis.
And you can sense the evil spirits there and the atmosphere of hate when you enter. But God is stronger than that, and He really gave me peace. And I told Him I want to be like happy as I'm there. So I was there. I had chance to speak to the soldiers, share that we're not alone, and record the videos on a daily basis. And of course, I didn't tell my wife until I entered it. So I entered, and then I sent her a selfie of me sitting on the Yehia Sinwar chair, the pictures that were there. So that's how she found out, and she wasn't so happy about that. But I'm here, still alive.
Yeah. I mean, overall, I know early on in the war, a lot of stories were coming out of miracles. But I mean, like I'm guessing you can say firsthand, like God's hand of protection, obviously on Israel. A lot of miracles during the war, right?
No, for sure. Just look at we were attacked by Iran that launched 500 ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and drones at Israel. And what was it? 99% of them were intercepted. That doesn't happen. I mean, even my phone malfunctions more than that. And look at the amount of accuracy that needs to happen. It's a miracle. It's not because the technology is so good. Even the manufacturers of the technology say that it's accurate maybe 85% of the time, not 99%, and not against 500 launches at once.
Right.
And this thing happened twice in the second round that they launched another 500 missiles at us. So I love that God is, when He's making a miracle, He's not just, doing a normal miracle that all of us can think, it's because of the IDF. He's making sure that this is a miracle because of Him and not because of us. And He did it twice, so that's just one example.
Right, yeah.
And I see that God is using Israel in this time, like He used Israel in biblical times. Okay, so He's using Israel to show to the entire world that He still performs miracles today, biblical scale level miracles in modern days, which means that our God is alive. And I think it's a huge encouragement to everybody around the world. And the purpose of Israel is to share God's faithfulness to mankind.
Yeah.
And He does that on a national scale through Israel. That's why every time you turn the news, you see the conflicts in Israel.
Right.
Because there are more conflicts around the world. But God is using Israel, and the enemies of Israel want to destroy this connection between God and his faithfulness to the people of Israel and his faithfulness to each and everybody who's watching around the world.
Exactly.
And, 7 different nations attacking Israel. We are still here. Most of them are almost gone.
Exactly.
So it's just amazing. Even the Beepers operation is crazy. So everything is like something from a James Bond movie or a miracle that you should write in the Bible if we do another version of the modern day Bible,
Yeah, it's hard to understand that there's still so many people around the world that hate Israel, want to come against Israel. More alarming. I mean, we both work in media, and more alarming to me than anything is the so-called right-wing conservative movement that's now turning against Israel and the Jewish people. That's difficult to fathom, because now we're not just going against the haters, not just going against the secular world, the liberal, it's literally people that are claiming to be Christians, people who claim to be conservative, now completely turning against Israel and the Jewish people.
Yeah, listen, what I learned in this war very, very early on is that this is a spiritual war. And we see people that just hate Israel and the Jewish people with such like a kind of supernatural hate,
right?
Like the Houthis in Yemen. What Houthi ever met an Israeli, a Jew, but they have it on their flag. I mean, curse on the Jews, death to Israel. This is a supernatural hate for Israel. But we also see, supernatural love for Israel. So there's both sides. So it's sad, but us that believe in God and stand with Israel should raise our voice, because I believe that there are more people of us that are speaking out, sadly. So we need to, that's why, we are doing this. We need to be in the media platforms fighting for the truth, encouraging people to pray, because this is a combination of a spiritual war and a battle for the truth. Right. And sadly, truth these days is something that you can manipulate very easily.
Exactly, yeah. One encouraging thing somebody told me last week was that when the girl that won, that was in the Eurovision, Yuval Raphael, right? The judges put her way down the list in the contest, but the public vote put her up to second place.
That was cool.
And it made me realize that typically the haters are much more loud, and they're willing to get online and comment and share and hate on social media. But I think Israel has more supporters than you would think.
We know, yes.
Because when it comes down to it, they showed up and they voted Yuval Raphael up to second place, in the Eurovision. So that was a neat example. So much propaganda, fake news, especially with the war with Hamas, that, I know just from living here in Israel, I know personally so much of it is not true.
Yeah.
Since you started reporting from the front lines of the war, is there examples or things that you witnessed personally or experienced firsthand and the media was saying the opposite, or fake news or propaganda?
Yeah, every other day.
Yeah.
If I'm sure you guys heard about the Shifa Medical Center in the Gaza Strip. That was a big one. I remember in the early days of the war, there was an explosion in the compound of the Shifa Medical Center. And then the whole war is like, Israel is launching attacks against the hospitals. And it was so annoying. And then the next day, the IDF, of course, investigated. And we saw image of a Hamas rocket that was launched behind the hospital and malfunctioned and fell inside the hospital. So it was Hamas launching rockets at their own hospitals and then blaming Israel.
Right.
Okay. So, and on top of that, the whole situation in the Gaza Strip is very bad, because Hamas is launching attacks from the civilian population. Then if Israel responds, then there are civilians that are hurt. Many of the times.
Right, yeah.
And then Hamas is using that to blame Israel in international media of harming the civilians, but they are using them as human shields. So it goes on and on and on. And I think I remember this interview. Oh yeah, that was a good one. I don't know if it was one international channel, maybe Britain or something like that. Yeah. With an Israeli guy that was doing speaking tours on behalf of Israel. And he was asked this question: why is Israel releasing 600 prisoners, Hamas prisoners, in exchange for one hostage? Do you think that the lives of Palestinians worth so much less than the lives of Israelis?
Oh, I remember this. Yeah.
And I was like, wow, are they like stupid? I mean, what's this?
Yeah.
Like, this doesn't make any sense. Not like, and everybody was shocked. I mean, everybody, the Israeli guy was shocked. And he said, no, we would release one-on-one, or we would not release any of them. But we care about our hostages. We care about human life, and they just do not.
Right.
And this is like
Israel
the battle here.
is bending over backwards just to get their hostages home.
Exactly.
And the world's using that as propaganda.
Basically, everything we do is bad. You know,
Right,
it's
yeah.
like, so it's very, very hard.
Very difficult to win in the media,
Exactly.
for sure. Anything else from your experiences? What's been the...
Sure. Yeah. I think that, I mean, in every struggle that we go through, you know, we need to look for what God is saying, because God likes to use any kind of challenge into an opportunity, either to teach us something or to show that he's in control of everything. So what I learned in this whole, I don't know, journey, war, whatever you call it, it's been like a crazy bad and also good 2 years, or almost 2 years.
Right, yeah.
So I learned that God can change and take any challenge and turn it into an opportunity to share his love and to show that he's in control. And I learned that through my own personal example of sharing the truth. I just felt the need to share and record myself with an iPhone every day from the front lines. And then God used that, and now we're reaching millions of people around the world with what's happening in Israel. So I would encourage all of you guys to just take one step at a time into the direction that God is showing you, and he will open doors that you wouldn't imagine were possible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I never imagined that it will go this far, and now it's kind of the main thing that I'm doing and that TBNISRAEL is doing.
Right.
And I think that's just the beginning of the big plan that what God has, to show.
Mm-hmm. I know there's, there's millions of Christians around the world that stand with Israel, support Israel. I think a lot of people are frustrated every day because they want to do more. You know, they're like, how can I be in Holland? How can I be in Australia? How can I be in America? Like, what can I do? Like, what do you tell people? How can they better stand with Israel?
Okay, so I think first of all is to understand what's happening. Okay, so follow the Israel guys, follow TBNISRAEL, learn what's happening in the streets in Israel, on the ground. Okay, and then after then the first thing and the most important thing is to pray. I think people usually underestimate the power of prayer, but it's an amazing power. It's better than anything active with our power and our will that we can do to change this world. Okay, so I would say pray, but when you pray, make it personal. Okay, pray for an IDF soldier, for his family that are missing him for many months throughout the year. Okay, the family unit in this war, I think, is the unit that was attacked the most since this war began, because the enemy is trying to attack the basic unit of the family, which is the husband, the wife, the kids. And by separating them, and the husband or the wife are going to serve in the IDF for many months, this unit is under attack. And
there's soldiers that have been fighting for 400, 500 days, like with hardly any breaks at all.
I know. And I hear many stories, and many of my friends, like some of my friends, got divorces because of since this war started. I mean, this is happening and people don't know about it. So let's pray for the family unit. And in a practical note, be active in your country. Like, write a letter to your representative to stand with Israel, to not boycott Israeli products, to not pass laws that are against Israel. Be active. We have a power. We've seen that many people are standing with Israel, unlike what the media and the haters that are screaming on all platforms are saying. Okay, so let's be a voice that is actually doing something and standing with Israel in this time, because this is not just a war for Israel. All these enemies start by attacking the Jewish people and Israel, but they say it clearly that they want to reach America, Europe. They want to take over the entire world, not just Israel. We're just here in the heart of the Middle East, in their way to spreading even more to Europe, to the Americans, to everywhere else.
Yeah, no, I think it's amazing. Yeah, I'd say you're one of the leading voices out of Israel.
Thank you.
One of the best ways for people to connect. How can people tell people about the specific projects that you're doing, what you have coming up? How can people connect and find you?
Yeah, okay. So the best way to stay up to date with what we do and what I do is to go to TBN Israel on YouTube. That's where we post daily, even multiple times a day, updates from Israel, what's happening. And we have multiple projects that we keep reviving. We just finished a Rebuild Israel campaign in which we encouraged everybody who's watching to support us. And by supporting us, you help us share the truth, and also planting forests in Israel that was attacked after the Hezbollah rockets burnt 57,000 acres of forest land. So we already planted one forest in the north, on the border with Hezbollah, with Lebanon.
Amazing.
And that's all thanks to the support from Christians and Jews around the world that stand with Israel. So I like the combination of planting something that will only bear fruit in 25 years, because it's not just a tree. It means like, I believe that Israel is going to be here in 25 years.
Exactly, yeah.
And we're investing in the future.
For your children and then their children.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when our enemies are destroying, we are rebuilding. So that is something that we're doing. On top of that, you can follow Yair Pinto on X, on Instagram. Just make sure you follow the official accounts with this little blue ribbon arrow verification accounts, because there are so many fake accounts, and many people use my picture, my family picture, to try and get money from people.
Right.
As scams. So watch out.
Yeah, for sure. We'll put some links down below so people can follow you. Amazing. Thank you for everything you're doing. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Everybody, please go follow Yair Pinto.
Thanks so much.